NAIA football is the true version of what college football is supposed to be. And it is the best classroom experience an 18 to 22-year-old male can have. One of the most valuable parts of a college education is that experience. It's life in a microcosm, and it's just something special for a young man to have to experience.
And don't you let a moment go without thinking about what's there for you to reach out and grasp.
Welcome into the Victory Sports Network. This is NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. I'm Jason Dannelly, and we thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight as we get set to bring you a little recap of the national championship game between Grandview and Keiser. And of course, I want to bring in the co-host of this program, Mr. Pat Donley. Pat, thank you for, of course, taking time out of your Sunday night to join us here on the program and talk a little championship football.
Nothing better to talk about than a national championship football game, the NAIA. Solid victory, another Grandview type game. We'll jump into it here momentarily, but what a dominating performance.
And let's be honest, Pat, people have stared at our faces all season long. They don't really want to hear from us. They want to hear from this guy, Coach Joe Woodley, head football coach, Grandview University, the new NAIA football national champion. Coach Woodley, thanks for taking a couple minutes to talk to us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And again, I can't stress it enough. I so appreciate all the things you guys do for NAIA football, because you guys both know how good of a brand of football it is. And of course, Coach Donley, I know you do. And, the success you had at St. Francis, and of course, the successes your dad continues to have. And what a, just truly an honor to be on here, and appreciate you guys doing this. Can't stress that enough. And just excited to. I finally made the show. I think this is my first time on, so feel pretty privileged to be on with you guys tonight.
Well, Coach, we thank you for coming on. We don't have a lot of guests on because Pat and I like to jabber a lot, and then we find out it's not fair to the coaches that come on, and we only talk to them for a couple minutes. But you're the show tonight. Like, you're the one that we want to talk to, and just talk about this big win that you guys had, and I'll just get things started because I know, we've got you for a limited time. Pat and I had a lot of expectations coming into this game. We'd seen both teams play quite a bit, and really, I felt like the tone in yesterday's game got set on the first play of the game because I was watching your offensive line versus their defensive line, and Waring gets that run around the corner, and you look at the big defensive tackle inside for Keiser. He gets locked up by one of your guys, and your guy just turns him, and you get the big gain. And I just kind of said, I think the guys in the trenches are going to be ready for this one.
Yeah, they were, and that's really, that dates back, Jason, Coach. It dates back to spring ball, really January, and I look back at some of the games we've lost in recent memory, and I felt like we lost those games because we didn't win at the line of scrimmage, and that was the point of emphasis this season. I think it always is. Coach Donley, as you're always trying to talk about those things, but are you really emphasizing it? We put it into action with how we practiced this year, and believe me, our guys didn't love it at times, but you guys all know what the Oklahoma drill is, and we did a lot of that. We did it Thursday night, before this game, with our guys, and we just felt that was important to create that mindset, and I think it really paid off Saturday. I didn't realize this. We've always tried to pride ourselves on running the football, and come to find out, I think Jackson. So Jackson, I think you guys probably know better than I do because I'm not a big stat guy. But I think he rushed for 202 yards, somewhere in that neighborhood, and that's a school record at Grandview. So I know we haven't been around. I know we haven't been around real long. I mean, it's a great day on the ground. Don't get me wrong, but you think somebody might have popped a bigger game in there somewhere, but that's we found out that somebody told me that was a school record Saturday, and so I was like, oh wow, like we haven't had a guy that's rushed for more than that in a game, but anyways, yeah, it was I felt that's the way we needed to play the football game, and and we kind of limited Jackson all year on the ground, and in hopes that we would be involved in a game like this where we could really kind of put him to the test, and we really have. In these playoff games, and boy, is he, he's come to play, and in a huge fashion on Saturday. And of course, we move it right down the field, and then we fumble on the 1 yard line, and they get the turnover right away, and you're like, oh shoot, I wasn't feeling too bad about myself, but like, man, gosh dang, is this how it's gonna go today? But our kids never flinched. Defense comes out. They hit a shot on us. They threw a shot up to their stud, and he caught one and made a play. And but our defense, we gave up some yardage yesterday, but they got a lot of timely stops, and that's kind of who we've been all year. And with the way that drive went, Jason, with kind of what you were saying, I'm like, I think we're gonna have some success running the football today, and not necessarily only having it to be, kind of that +1 game with the quarterback run stuff, but they play so much man coverage. I felt that was going to be an advantage for us to run the quarterback, but even our kind of normal run game that we that we usually employ was working pretty well too. So. If you're going to run for 350 some yards in a game, you're going to feel good about what the end result's going to be. And like I said, I don't know that I necessarily saw it coming, but our kids believed, and sometimes those kids will they'll impress you when you're least expecting it, and that they were ready to roll. It was a great focus. The message all week was, hey, we're not going out there. This isn't a bowl game. This isn't a trip. We're going to play a football game, and we're going to enjoy this thing afterwards. We're not going to, I didn't give them much time to enjoy much leading up into the game, but we certainly enjoyed ourselves last night, and we're enjoying ourselves today because of what we did yesterday. And I think, and Pat, Coach, you probably know this, because gosh, I can't remember how many games you guys lost in the national championship. It was. I mean, I
3 in a row.
I felt sick for you guys for a while. Like, man, that is, and we experienced in 21, and I couldn't, I didn't want to live with the fact of knowing that. So we tried to approach this, like, hey, this is just a road game. This is just a road game for us. And again, I loved the fact that we didn't have a week off in between or an extra day. Like, we played Saturday to Saturday, just like we have been playing here in these playoffs. And, there's a little part of me like, I wish we might add one more day logistically. Like, this is a lot because we don't have 50 people on staff and handling your travel and all those kinds of things. But, but we handled it. We got there. We went there to play a football game. That's what we did. Our kids played at an extremely high level for 60 minutes. And, we're sitting here with a national championship, and, much deserved, much earned. Just couldn't be happier for our group of players and our coaches, and our offensive coordinator. I shouldn't say coordinator, just our offensive staff, our defensive staff. They were dialed in yesterday, and I also think that made a huge difference as well.
Coach, you've done an unbelievable job answering all my questions without me even asking them to. Fantastic, man.
You ask my players, I can ramble. I know that.
You've had a heck of a weekend, man, even reading the minds of us and nailing these questions already. I did want to ask you about your two great coordinators who were part of that 2013 national championship team, that dominating team, your first experience with your dad winning the national championship. And, looking back on that, and you said you had that, the disappointment of 21, talk about those guys and obviously your experience communicating with your players, preparing your players for a game of this magnitude, having that experience.
Yeah, I think we all learned a lot from 2021, and as frustrating as that night was, and my goodness, we ran into a really good football team that night. Morningside, as you guys know, has been a great program over the course of time here in the NAIA. That was a tough night. It really was. And it sat with me probably a little too long. But I think it really motivated us. to get better. Not necessarily because I truly believe we had enough talent on that roster. I feel like us as coaches maybe let those players down and didn't put them in the best positions to be successful. And again, I took that personally, and and then we played Keiser the next year, and we lost to them in the semifinals, and kind of the same thing. I alluded to that earlier. We just weren't physical enough at the line of scrimmage. And again, that's not an indictment on our players. I didn't stress that enough, in my opinion, as the head coach. We didn't stress that enough in our program. But believe me, that was because I looked inward after, and even College of Idaho last year, I felt that game was lost at the line of scrimmage. And again, I'm certainly not calling out our players, our personnel. That I took ownership in that, and I was not going to, let that happen again. We're not going to lose a game because we weren't physical enough at the line of scrimmage. So we really bought into that. Our kids bought into that this year. And I think that's truly what we did, throughout the, entirety of this playoffs, with probably the exception of the first half of our first round game against Friends. That was just a whole different animal, as you guys know. I think we kind of took one for the team there. Like, nobody wanted to play a triple option team in that first round. And as soon as I saw that pairing, I'm like, okay, because we used, William Penn was in our league. Coach Donley, what they were all about offensively, and but they haven't ran that offense. Coach Hafner left a couple of years ago, and nobody in we had like 2 kids in our program that had played against that offense. So there wasn't a familiarity with it. We took one day on our bye week right before the that open week before the playoffs, and repped maybe 10-12 minutes of it. Just like, hey, we might play these guys. So that one kind of took us, for a different turn in that first round game. But from the second half of that game on, I feel like we played, really dominant football through the rest of the playoffs. And really Saturday was kind of yesterday was kind of the culmination of that. Because we, all 3 of us know, and really the whole NAIA world knows, like, how dominant Keiser had been, all year this year. And, I guess they certainly had a scare last week, and I don't know if scare is the right way. Like, I still can't believe they won that football game, with what I saw and how it played out. But like I told our team, like, hey, these guys know how to win. They know how to win football games, and because they expect to win. And Coach Donley, that, like, St. Francis, Indiana, like, expects to win football games. And, that's what they did. And I told our guys, even, we were up 21-7 at halftime. Like, guys, this is a comfort zone for this team. Like, this is nothing to them. They're getting the ball first. And, so, but anyways, again, I know I'm rambling again. Like I said, I know I can do that. But yeah, it was just a tremendous day yesterday. And just couldn't be more proud of what we did and how we did it.
Coach, I know we've only got you for a couple more minutes here because you're a busy guy. I got one question, then I'll throw it back to Pat. My question is very simple. Since you've been a head coach, really since 2019, there's only a couple teams that you've lost to. Morningside, of course, being one, Northwestern being one, Keiser being one. You've been on this revenge tour. Are you calling up Coach Morosky at College of Idaho to get a non-conference game next year to just finish this whole thing out and just avenge every loss that you've got as a head coach?
That's not that's the furthest thing from my thoughts right now. I'm just excited to wake up tomorrow and know that I don't have an opponent to prepare for. I just want to get up, have a big cup of coffee, and just kind of chill out tomorrow a little bit. I joked with my staff, hey, we got Monday staff meeting. Let's wrap this thing up, and I said it tongue in cheek, of course, but. No, we're whatever. Like, I'm not trying to schedule College of Idaho for a non-conference game. Like, let's be honest here. Well, if they want to come out here, maybe, but I'm not going out to Idaho. I know that, and I'm not going to do a home and home because that is, you guys know the budgets at this NAIA level. Like, because if you go out there, you're going to want to fly, and yeah, so probably not, but I appreciate you saying that. And it was nice to kind of, I don't know if avenge those losses, however you want to put it. I guess I don't want to make it sound like that, because I do have such great respect for those programs that, that we have lost to. And, but again, I'm not thinking about that stuff right now. I'm just really enjoying what we did yesterday, what we did this season, and just really, really proud of, what we've done this year.
Coach, I want to congratulate you first and foremost. We'll kind of go over our time a little bit here. But how was it seeing Dad, talking to Dad after breaking through and winning your own national championship?
Yeah, so Mom and Dad weren't able to make it out. Okay. But yeah, he called me, immediately, right. Well, I missed his call. I think he probably tried to call like right as the game, got done. Like, hey, you better answer your phone.
You're doing your interview and Dad's calling. You're in your post-game interview.
Yeah, but so I called him, as soon as we got on the bus to go home, and yeah, he said he was obviously very proud, and probably, Coach, much like you, I know how, like, your dad and my dad are cut out of the same cloth. They are so old school, like it's incredible. Some of the stuff my dad used to say, I'm like, geez, Dad, you can't say that. That's just who they are, and they're so comfortable. They're so comfortable with who they are. And that's what makes them so effective. And I think that's what makes them so authentic. And that's why your dad was so successful. And, and obviously my dad had great success. And I learned a lot from him. And, I thought about him a lot yesterday. And, yeah. So he's a proud dad right now. There's no doubt about that. And I'm proud of him. And he's helped me get to where I am today, and much like you, Coach, how that dynamic is to coach with your dad, and probably them coaching with us was probably a little bit more special to them. And but yeah, we're it's pretty neat, because I helped him win one, and now as a head coach, I just happened to be the head coach when we won this next one, but had a lot of great assistants, with my assistant coaches, a bunch of former players that played for us. And man, we got great players. And they played yesterday, and just couldn't be more proud of them and happy for them. And this is the best. This is why we do this. And, just really feeling good right now. Not going to lie.
Well, you should, Coach. It's a heck of an achievement. Only so many people in this world can say they won a national championship in the sport of football, especially at the college level. You're one of those coaches now. So, and we're more than happy that you were able to join us, for this little time tonight. We'll let you get back to things. I'll say my congratulations. Pat will let you do yours, and then we'll let you get out of here, Coach. But thank you for taking the time and being a resource to me. I know we don't talk a lot during the season, but I know if I send you an email and ask you a question, you're going to get back to me. And, I definitely like that. And we'll get you on for a longer time when maybe things aren't quite as hectic here.
You bet. Any time, Jason. I've always appreciated you, and you've been at this a long time. I know you took a little bit of a reprieve there for a while, but so glad you're back doing it. And you guys do such a good job. And you were smart by grabbing Pat, because he knows football. There's a lot of talking heads out there that don't know football. And, so I respect this. You were smart by grabbing him, and, it's you guys do a great job. And I really appreciate all you guys do for NAIA football. And I really do. You guys are outstanding. And I look forward to listening to this. Sometimes I try to avoid it just so I don't have distractions, but sometimes I can't help myself either. I got to hear what you guys got to say.
We have a podcast version, Coach. You turn it on too, having the background. Coach, thank you for the kind words. But man, I tell you what, couldn't be happier for you. You guys do it right. First class program, starting with your dad, and you taking this thing over into a new level. Just an unbelievable season, unbelievable performance yesterday. One of the most dominating championship games I've ever seen at any level. Just fantastic. Congratulations again. You're first class, and your program's first class, and so happy for you.
Yeah, Pat, I appreciate it, man. It means a lot coming from you. And I remember you telling me once upon a time, I think after you guys had won your second, or because you guys went back to back, I guess I don't remember the years up, 16, 17, maybe. I can't remember the years, but I think your room was right across from mine at the convention one year. And, you had said how emotional your dad was getting down the stretch of his career. And hey, I know I'm not as old as your dad, but I get it. I get it now. And I choked back a lot of tears last night and yesterday and throughout the course of this thing, because it's special when you go on these runs. It really is. And, for us to finally, shouldn't say finally, we did it in 13 and, but 13's a long time ago, and you're always wondering, like, gosh, was that it? Like, are we going to be able to do this again? And, for us, and then we got close again in 21, and, we've been to the semis a handful of times, and, to kind of break through it again, man, it's an emotional time, and it's because of the people you surround yourself with, and there's a lot of special people here, and just real thankful, and again, thankful for you too and everything you guys do for NAIA football, because NAIA football needs a voice. And shoot, I saw a deal yesterday that I think 412,000 people watched that game. I'm not a genius, but that sounds like a lot of people to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat, and you guys appreciate the fact that there is great football at this level, and there really is. And to know that we were the best this year, man, what a feeling of gratitude, humility. Just very thankful, and again, very thankful for you guys. So I appreciate all you guys do.
Thanks, Coach Woodley. We appreciate you coming on. We'll let you get back to enjoying this for a couple days, because right after this, you got Christmas, you got all the family stuff. So you got a short window to just really enjoy this before you got to get to all the other stuff now.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like we're behind on recruiting, and sadly, like I was thinking about that like an hour after the game. Like, man, we got to get we got to get going. But I'm going to try to enjoy it. But we got to try and keep this thing going too. So,
Coach, I apologize for probably the loud noises at that room across from me, the national champ. Why we won the national championship, the AFCA. we had a really good time. I hope you all in the Vikings.
You should have. You should have. I get it.
Hope you do as well, Coach. It's awesome.
All right, guys.
Congratulations again.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. It's Joe Woodley.
It was awesome.
Head football coach. That's awesome. I would love to get him on at another time. Admittedly, we don't interview a lot of coaches because of the regular season. We have so much stuff to get to. Now that we're in the off season, it's like I can sit here and talk to Woodley for 2 hours, man.
Easily.
Yeah.
2 beverages maybe, and then talk some football. And that's what we got to get to the convention, Jason. We got to get to the AFCA, man. I don't think I can do it this year, unfortunately, just because I've got some things scheduled. It's too short notice. But I think
we should plan for a year.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like semi-overtime discussion here. But we got to find a way to get back there, because those are our people, man. Having a good time, seeing the NAIA guys and hanging with guys like Coach Woodley would be tremendous. It's so funny. He reminded me of that. I remembered it, but I didn't remember it. Probably for many reasons, actually, back in 16. Those that know me, I have a good time. Anyway, Coach is the best. That's funny. He reminded me of that. I do apologize. I'm sure we had a really good time. I was with a few of the USF staff members, and there's no feeling like it, Jason. And again, not to be that guy. I was a part of championships and losing 3, then winning 2 back to back, and I know Coach's feeling of both sides of it. And here he is now, at the top of the mountain, and much so deserved. And we haven't talked about the game yet, but man, top start to finish. And then the performance in the national championship. I mean, there's no better, there's no more deserving team than the Grandview Vikings, the way they played all season and certainly yesterday.
Yeah. I love talking to Coach Woodley. He's always been a guy that I don't want to say I can rely on, because very little I have to get from these guys unless it's, a little information or whatever. But go back to when the entire program started. My mantra in the world of the NAI is I know the head coach is always busy. He's always got something going on. So I try hard not to bother the Kevin Donleys, the Mike Woodleys of the world. So I always bother assistants. That's why we're friends.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I got That's how I got to know Coach Woodley. It's just I'd maybe ask him for a few more things, or if I'd be at a game, chat him up on the sideline a little bit beforehand. And there's a lot of coaches where I'd love to see him win a national championship. A lot of people that I'm close with, just for the personal, like, you deserve it, man. I know you've worked hard.
Absolutely.
And I could say that about Coach Woodley. Like, you deserve this. You deserve this championship. I know that you've worked tremendously hard to get here, and you'll do the things to keep your program at that level. So, congratulations to him and everybody on staff there. It's got to be an awesome feeling. Not many people have experienced it. One of them's on this podcast, but not very many people have.
I tell you other thing, Jason, he can talk.
Yes.
I mean, I remember, we had conversations playing. We played many times over the year. He and I went head to head. I was the offensive guy. He was the defensive guy. So, we always had that, very friendly rivalry. But I tell you what, he's got a future in this world.
Yes.
Man. Yeah, he was fantastic. Literally all the questions I want to ask Jason, he just literally in like
his first 5-minute response just went
nailed it. Like literally all my questions I had them written down. I tried to do some show prep, Jason, for the National Championship Coach Fund. And literally my questions, he nailed all of them. He answered them. I just wanted to ask you about Fulton and Peterson, just how, and again, having that disappointment in 21, but having the experience of having guys on staff, he included in 13, I think it's a big deal, especially, and it was really interesting to hear when he said having the short turnout was maybe a benefit. Because I tell you what, man, that is difficult. I mean, you're in Des Moines, Iowa, and you're going to the East Coast. You're going to Durham, North Carolina, in basically like 3 days. Oh, yeah, and you got to play a national championship. And for those who don't know, it's not like, hey, our play call this week is run right. No, there is scheme and there's detail when it comes to your game plan. Football people, I mean, people don't realize how difficult our game is. 22 people and all the moving parts and the changes and the detail. It's a very cerebral game, and you have to get things done quickly. You have to teach it, implement the game plan, and then, you're jumping on a plane, you're doing all the extra stuff in the national championship. And whoever did that better was going to be ready for this football game, and Grandview was lights out, Jason. Yeah. Unbelievable. And they went back and looked at those experiences and evaluated, I'm sure, themselves, and got their team ready to play, and they were fantastic yesterday.
Yeah, they played a fantastic game. You could tell just how prepared they were for this. I mean, I've said on this show before, I like the quick turnaround. Like Coach Woodley alluded to, one more day would be nice. We're not going to play on a Sunday. So the Monday, Tuesday game, I kind of like it if the NAIA were to move the championship to a Monday or Tuesday. Granted, then that's a whole nightmare of, getting fans to the game, and it's not on a weekend, and how do you travel, and you're closer to the Christmas and all that. But I almost feel like coaches, if they were told like, hey, you're going to play on Tuesday, they go, okay, great. We got 2 days to prep and plan and travel and get there, and then we can be there for a couple of days. And then it still feels like a normal game week. When we had those weeks where we'd have the full bye week in there, you would see some teams, come out of that. They'd be a little healthier, a little crisper. And some teams came out of that into the national championship, and it took a full half before they got going and remembering how to play football, just because they got out of it for a week.
I wonder too, Jason, Grandview had such a dominating performance against Morningside last Saturday, and Keiser, went down to the wire. There is a adrenaline cycle and some emotional things that go into, your energy level and your preparation that can drain teams. Mm-hmm. I wonder that because they did not look like themselves yesterday. I thought, they had such a great year, and I don't want to disparage anything that Keiser has done this year. They're fantastic, undefeated football team. Coach Russ and staff did a wonderful job. I can tell you, and Coach Woodley's going to face this next year, it is so challenging after winning, coming back the following year. Your target is absolutely enormous. There's nothing that makes any team's season than to beat the national champion. And they came through unscathed, beat 2 Division II programs, really played so well, had some key injuries. There's no doubt. You see Meisinger try to play yesterly. Obviously, a significant injury there.
You see others go out in the second half. Yeah,
no
there's a lot of guys got banged up yesterday.
A lot of things happened, and they really didn't have much of a stinker all year, Jason. They kind of had their one game was kind of this last game, though. They just didn't play to maybe the best of their ability, but at the same time, my goodness, how good Grandview was. But I want to give them credit. I think that's kind of lost in all this. Obviously, Coach Woodley on, but Keiser had a wonderful season, and I tell you what, is that program going places or what?
Yeah,
is now a true NAI power that's going to be involved in national championship discussions every single year in our affiliation. And so proud of Coach Russ, won the National Coach of the Year. I know the AFCA Coach of the Year, so congratulations to him. Much deserved. Wonderful guy, wonderful program, and definitely wanted to get that out there as we start breaking down this game.
You just think of the job that Coach Russ did this year. I mean, the behind the scenes, we've touched on it a little bit. Coach Sosha leaves. He was one that started the program. Coach Russ was there. Coordinators go with him. Players go with him. Players transfer out. Coach Russ talked about guys leaving, going in the portal, going other places, but yet he still found a way as a head coach to corral all those guys together and get them back to a national championship again. And also, let's not forget, they got back by being down 38-21 in the semifinal, and that team battled back. So huge.
7.5 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah. We're not talking like they had 3 quarters to do this. They had half a quarter to come back. Like what Keiser did this year was absolutely incredible. I mean, that's an incredible team, incredible program. They just did not have their best game yesterday. And Grandview played Grandview football, and this is what happens when that happens. You see, we've seen so many teams this year go up against Grandview, and you think like, okay, they might have a chance if they do this or that, and then just Grandview does Grandview things, and they win 35-7 in this game.
Physical, extremely well coached, dominated the situational battles. The conversion downs, the red zone situations. Both sides of the ball. I mean, they were just, Coach Woodley didn't get a chance to really praise him, talk about details of this specific game, but just an absolute dominating experience. I thought offensively, Jason, they did a wonderful job setting the tone right away. You asked that question, and you can see it, Jason. You watch the first drive, and you see it both ways. The guys in white jerseys were pushing the guys in navy, whether it's offensively or defensively. You're seeing that battle in the trenches take place, and you're seeing that movement, white into the navy jerseys and getting that push. You saw it on both sides. You saw it early and often, and that really set the tone. And I'm sure we're going to get into the details of this game, but that was something. If you know nothing about football, you're seeing that. You're seeing there's some movement there.
Yeah, my corgi came down to say hi to me again. So it must be a thing now that this dog wants to come down and talk to me. It hasn't talked to me in 6 months of doing the show, and now she's sleeping on the floor right there. Anyway, so how do Pat and I know so much about NAI football and all this about the games? Well, thanks to our good friends at Huddle, providing us with a direct exchange account. We're able to check out all these games. We're able to go back this week, look at previous Keiser games, previous Grandview games, come up with all of our predictions, thanks to our good friends at Huddle. We thank them. We hope to have the same account next year. Wink, huh? Let's remember that, Huddle. And this way we'll be able to provide such great coverage of NAI football going forward. All right, getting into the actual analysis of this game, just 33 minutes into the program. We've already been doing this. Grandview gets the win. They win the national championship 35-7. Here's a quick look at the statistics. We talked about it. Waring yesterday gets the MVP award. He was also named the NAIA Player of the Year. And I think some people might have looked at stats, on Friday afternoon, Friday night. Go, why'd this Waring kid get National Player of the Year? Well, if you saw the game yesterday, you saw what he was capable of and why Grandview was so good on offense all year long. 132 yards passing, 203 yards rushing. There's only been, I think, one other player in the NAIA National Championship game to do that. That guy was named Patrick Creighton, and he ended up playing for the Dallas Cowboys for several years in the NFL. So Waring's in pretty good company getting the MVP award and having those statistics. The other thing I look at, too, is Dalton Van Pelt. He goes for 107 yards. I mean, Grandview's ground game was mind-boggling, controlling, whatever you want, physical. They did all the things up front to make that running game go, Pat.
Without question. We talked about it from the jump, just the physicality. I think when you look at it, and Coach Woodley touched on it a little bit, I think their staff was so smart and kind of holding him back, and maybe some of the +1 running game. He mentioned that. And then you get in the playoffs, it's time to unleash your best player and your weapon that is the legs of Jackson Waring. And so physical. I'm going to say this. I'm going to give us some credit to the offensive staff and Coach Fulton. I thought formationally they did an exceptional job.
Yes.
Creating some advantageous run surfaces with motion. I think looking at it, I didn't have all 22. We're going to watch the Huddle film at some point, but seeing the game live, Keiser wanted to man up a lot. They felt like they could. to keep the integrity of the box, I think, Jason, just easier to say, hey, we're going to take our perimeter defenders and match up one-on-one with your perimeter receivers, and we're going to play 7-on-6 is what they're going to do. That's what I think Keiser wanted to do in this game. And there were times with motion and formation, they remove people a lot from the box and get angles on blocking schemes beautifully on linebackers and third-level players, getting them removed. So I want to give them, the offensive staff of Grandview, credit that, yes, their players played tremendous, but I think they did an unbelievable job coaching as well with some motion shifts, formations, and the way that they use Waring in the +1 running game. You heard your Coach Woodley talk about that. What's +1 running game? Well, your quarterback's a runner. You got an extra blocker now. And that's a huge, huge thing when you talk about, the physicality and the talent of a team like Keiser. They have to use those numbers games advantages that you get with the +1 running game. And what better guy to run it than Jackson Waring? And it's almost like, Jason, we looking at this and there's kind of build to this through the regular season and the playoffs where this guy really took off because you're competing for a national championship. You're gonna run your best player. And there's no better performance, I think, from a national player of the year that I can remember that was that dominant.
That was that dominant. I mean, there's been some ones that have played really well in championship games. There's also been some that have, had the whole Heisman curse, it seems like, as well. But yeah, what you're kind of alluding to with the +1 running game there too. You think so many teams, because they don't have that big physical, quarterback, they're putting in wildcat stuff. They're putting in direct snap stuff, going to different running backs. And Grandview just, crumple that idea, throw it away. We don't need to. We got this guy. He can just do it for us. And that is such a dangerous weapon to have, especially when, you've got a guy that can run it like Waring. And credit to Grandview recognizing that this year. And I kind of felt like that at times during the regular season. Like, we're not really seeing everything that Waring could do. Like, if Grandview wanted to go out and have this game against somebody in the Heart North and just say, you know what, Waring's going to get 175, 180 rushing today, they probably could have. But why put that beating onto your quarterback when you don't have to, if you're going to win those games, or once you have figured out you're going to win those games? And yeah, this was no holds barred. This is our last time we got to trot you out there. You're going to do it, young man. And Waring did. And wow, what a classy performance by him. And his entire story coming from Illinois State, being at Grandview, kind of rediscovering himself as a person and his goals in life. Just tremendous for him. You couldn't be happier for a program, and especially a young man like Waring.
He's fantastic. And, didn't throw the whole ball a whole bunch, but you think 11 completions, Jason, 4 were touchdowns.
Yeah.
And we talked about it. And before we kind of get too deep into this, let's talk about something. How much money would we have lost on this game?
A lot. Well, I mean, we did pick Grandview to win, so we would have done that. But if people would have been betting the spread and going the other way with it, we might have lost a lot.
The spread certainly, we would said the thing with 3 points probably.
Yeah, I think I had it at 21-17. I think is what I picked. 28-20. I can't remember when I wrote my article, but it was closer than 5 points for sure. Right,
and certainly, I think certainly the point spread, like you mentioned. But yeah, I mean, even the over/under, I probably would have gone maybe slightly over. We said 45. I guess it went under.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't as I thought. But yeah, obviously
things where we can say to people, "See, we were right. Just don't pay attention to how we said it would happen."
Yeah. I think I said 21-17. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yes, we both picked Grandview to win, and we said 45 points, but it was very different than how we thought this game would go.
To delve deeper here, we did say if Waring has a huge game on the ground, if we said Toki has big plays. Check. The physicality up front on both sides, check. Limiting, Spencer had yards, but they were one of what in Jason, the red zone?
They're 0 for 3 in the red zone.
0 for 3 in the red zone.
1 of 13 on third down.
I mean, we haven't talked about the defensive performance for Grandview, holding this unbelievable national championship offense to 7 points, but 1 of 13 on third down. I mean, that's unbelievable. And no red zone touchdowns. Again, like you've mentioned before, Keiser does an unbelievable job. And I think Spencer still played fairly well, threw it a bunch. Obviously, they were behind, did some really good things. I thought Burnett ran physical against that great defense. They just couldn't sustain anything. There'd be a play here and there, There was rarely 2 plays in a row. You know what I mean? It's like you
Yep.
just couldn't get anything going. Just the sustained movement up front or completing 2 passes in a row when you need to. That was the challenge, and I think that the Grandview defense was just spectacular. You're talking about 1 of 13 on third down. I mean, that is unbelievable, and just dominant the entire day.
Yeah, I just think that that the way that this game played out for Keiser, and I do see a comment that popped up here. This is good timing. If Keiser would have stuck to the running game that got him 2 championships games in a row, I think it would have looked like a different game. I mean, they did. They tried. They couldn't run. You almost get backed up into the end zone when the ball's on the 1 yard line. And then also, I believe it was a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1. They weren't able to convert on short yardage. So we can't say like they didn't stick to the running game. I mean, they were on it. They just weren't getting the production like they were used to. So you got to come up with something else.
Right. I mean, I'm going to say this too. Watching Burnett run yesterday, he is the most physical back in the NAIA. I think, and I love Lander Smith, and there's a couple others that I think are awesome, but that dude is physical. And so many things that he did in the running game were him just literally running over someone for plus yardage. There were people, at the point of attack right away, and he had to do it on his own, running through tackles, and he could. I know what that commenter is saying. At the same time, like you said, Jason, I mean, 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s, they weren't converting. I mean, do you remember? And again, I don't disagree with Coach Russ doing this because they were down, was it 21-0, ball about midfield late in the second. And it was 4th and inches, and they got slammed, Jason.
Yep.
Then so Grant, no, it was 14-0, I think.
Yes.
Grandview gets the short, 47-yard field, bang, bang, score before half. Well, then Keiser gets back and scores too. But that was a short field and a decision that Coach Russ made. I don't disagree with. You got to get something going. You had 4th and inches. You got the most physical running back in the NAIA. You give it to him, and you get beat. You get beat at the point of attack. So, I know what the commenter's saying. And there was just keep running it, but there wasn't a whole lot there. I mean, it was a lot of Burnett having to break tackles, and certainly between the guards, the A-gap area was really, really tough, where I thought Grandview did a tremendous job. And we kind of talked about that that was a key thing. So, yeah.
No, I mean, I could see where they believed the game or how the game was going. But, I mean, Keiser did try to run it on 3rd down on some of those conversions, and they weren't able to get it. Also, you look at some of the early 3rd downs, 3rd and 15, you got 3rd and I'm just rolling through the play-by-play here. You've got 4th and 1. You've got plenty of opportunities that were in there. Listen, and if you're thinking if what you took out of this game as a fan was this was a game plan scheme issue, you weren't paying attention to what was happening in the trenches. Go back, watch the tape. It's available on the NAIA network. You can watch the game right now and watch the drive that was happening up front. It was definitely happening on the Grandview offensive line and not as much on the Keiser offensive line. It just, watch the game as an unbiased observer.
The first drive tells you everything. I mean, that's the script usually. I'm sure it's Coach Fulton's script of the plays he wanted to run, probably at least 10 to 15 plays that he wanted to run to start the game. And got all the way down. And again, Waring, as good a game as he had, the one mistake he made, he fumbled on the 1 yard line. I mean, that easily should have been a 80-yard, 75-yard drive to open the game with a touchdown. They fumbled the 1 yard line. So, I mean, there's another 7 points out of the Vikings left on the, left off the board that they could have. I mean, that's how dominant that first drive was, and they took it from there. And unbelievable first half, then shut out Keiser the second half, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, it was a heck of a performance by then. And again, not taking anything away from Keiser, things just didn't click for them yesterday the way they had in previous games. And you kind of alluded to it as well. A crazy adrenaline, emotional win just 1 week ago, and having to come back from that and have the emotions of the national championship game as well with that. I mean, it's super tough for them to get into. So those are the stats. That's the whole thing there. Your national champion is Grandview University, getting their second national championship ever. There's the money shot for the rest of the year. This will be the banner on the Victory Sports Network Facebook page. So huge congratulations to them. We're done with the slides now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what else do we want to talk about in this game? I wanted to get through the slides so we can just talk. And I feel like, whatever work I did didn't go to waste. Very limited work.
Of course, I'd love to ask Coach Woodley how the experience was in Durham. I've never coached there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there, as just traveling, but wonder his thoughts on that. And I think the NAIA does a great job. We have two things I think are really cool for our champion. I think Red Banner is an awesome deal. I really do. I think it's a cool tradition with all of our national champions in all sports. And I think the Tom Osborne Trophy is killer. I think it's just awesome. I was very fortunate, Jason, to hoist it a couple of times and get to look at that pretty fella every day I walked in the office for about 700 days. We had him back-to-back years. I got to look at it and greet him every morning when I walked in the office.
Dr.
But I think
Tom, hello.
Dr. Tom, that's how I addressed him every day, Dr. Tom. But it's a great trophy, and I think it's a cool thing for our champions to get. I'll be honest with you, like the Super Bowl trophy, Lombardi trophy is kind of lame. I mean, it just is. But I think our trophy's awesome. Of course, I'm hockey. I love the Stanley Cup. Kind of the more grandiose, and I think that trophy's awesome. And I think that the post game was really cool. And the red banner, the trophy, I think that's a really great experience for our student athletes in the NAIA, and they do that right. So kudos.
And the whole red banner thing, it's almost by accident. Like that's what they picked for championships, and then now they've marketed to it. So now it means something. Like the battle for the red banner, we want to get one of those red banners. They've marketed that correctly, and as a marketing guy, I'm like, all right, that's a W for the NAIA. Doing that. And then also, like, you remember the old championship trophy, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Tough one.
It's
big.
It was big, had a big old helmet on it. And this looks more like what a championship trophy should look like when a team has got it. So I do like the upgrade there. We disagree on the name of the trophy. That's fine.
I know you do. I'm
the only one that looks at it that way. Like I'm the NAIA dork that's like, well, they should actually call it the Gil Steinke Trophy because Gil Steinke won 7 national championships with Texas A&I. I'm that guy.
Well, I know you are. We had this discussion last summer. I don't disagree. But at the same time, Dr. Tom Osborne is one of the greatest coaches of all time, NAIA guy, Hastings College. The all-time greats, to the point where doesn't Nebraska have the Hastings horseshoe? I believe is a tradition from Dr. Tom Osborne as they exit and tap the Hastings horseshoe for the Cornhuskers. You're a Nebraska guy. That tells you that what he was an NAIA guy, in his youth and playing, and I get it from a marketing standpoint, but I also understand your side of it too. Of course,
it makes more sense. Like me, I would have pride in that, but like I'm just going to pull a name off of the thing here to Shea Spencer from Keiser, the Gil Steinke Trophy to him. He's going to be like, who's that? And we're going to explain it to him.
Right.
Most kids that are playing football, even though Dr. Tom has not coached for 20 years, are going to go, oh, that guy. No, the Nebraska football guy. I got it. So, I mean, I get it. I'm just a dork.
Did Coach Osborne ever coach? Yeah, he was an assistant at Hastings. He never coached at Hastings as an assistant starting out?
Nope.
So he just played at Hastings.
Just played at Hastings. Okay, right. Correct. Yep.
I
can't remember the exact path that he had before getting on Bob Devaney's staff, but it was pretty close to after graduation and then graduate assistant thing. But he was not on, as far as I can remember, he was not on football staff with the Broncos. But again, somebody can prove me wrong. I'm just going off of what I remember, and there's a lot of just things that are probably wrong up here. I'm trying to think. I do want to circle back a little bit, and again, just mention like how great of a season this was for Keiser University and what their staff did there was absolutely tremendous. They're going to graduate a lot of guys. They're probably going to lose some guys as transfers. We've already seen that at other NAIA programs, which we can talk about as well. But just a 12-1 record playing in the national championship. Sure, it stings for those guys, but tremendous season. And they did a lot of good things, not just for themselves, but for their conference as well. I think them being good gets St. Thomas coming around. You've got St. Thomas out of that conference. You've got Southeastern out of that. Now, all of a sudden, you have a young football conference that we look at the same level as a Mid-South, a GPAC, a Hart, not just like a They haven't really done much out of that conference, and Keiser helped to raise the bar for them. So that's kind of what I got to say there.
It's a great point. I mean, you look at all the conferences now in the NAIA, you can trace it back to maybe one program who had dominance to maybe create parity to say, hey, we got to up our game. I mean, look at the Frontier. Carroll College won 6 national championships in 8 seasons, 9 seasons, Jason?
Yeah, something like that.
And now look at the parity of that league, and now Carroll's coming back. There's a reason for that. When you have a team in your own league, in your own backyard, setting the standard, you want to get there. I think University of Sioux Falls, when Kalen DeBoer was there, and I think Morningside is a direct result of that, of them, really upping the ante, and Coach Ryan does such a great job. But that was a competitive battle for a long, long time. And they wanted to continue to raise their game at Morningside to get to that point. Grandview was a Mid-States Football Association team for a long time. Their first national championship, they were the western part of our conference when I was coaching St. Francis, and we played them. We had great battles, and here they are. Now they go to the Heart. There's teams that have been successful there, but they better up the ante again to match Grandview. And you mentioned Keiser and the Sun. I mean, look at St. Thomas and the emergence of that program. You're seeing Southeastern come back around. That's a real thing, because you have somebody that's winning championships. That stuff is like, we got to get to that point too. That's some extra motivation for not just a football staff and football program, but administration as well, to maybe raise the bar, from everything that they do from a commitment standpoint to get to that point. Like we talked about before, Jason, you're not winning a national championship not being fully funded. It's not happening. Yeah. So it has to be a commitment from the university as much as a commitment from your staff and your players. No question.
Well, and the other thing that you have to look at now too, and this was something that I knew, but then when it was said out loud yesterday, I'm like, gosh, they're right. That is the first national championship in football for the Heart of America Athletic Conference. They've never won a national championship there. Baker has had a great program. They've come close. Benedictine, right. Same thing. But there's never been a team from that conference that won an NAIA national championship. Now they finally got one. So again, upping the ante a little bit. Sure. Now we've got somebody that's won a championship. See, we played those guys tough. We're not that much different than them. We can do that. Why? This is what we've got to do. It's just it just helps football in that area get so much better and improve. And I will go back even, I'll be crude as I say this, but when I started doing this 20 some odd years ago in 2003 and 4, the KCAC was seen as a complete joke, just a complete, like, what are these guys doing? They have they can't compete nationally. And you saw it get a little better. And then Kansas Wesleyan has that run a couple years ago with, of course, their head coach, who is now the head coach at Central Michigan, and Matt Drinkall Drinkall. Yeah. So that helps raise the bar there. The rest of the teams in the conference say, wow, look where they got. And you've seen that level of competition get better. And you could see that in the playoffs this year with Southwestern competing very good against Indiana Wesleyan, and Friends, honestly, playing the closest and toughest game in the postseason against the national champion. I mean, you've got to give credit where credit is due, and Friends upped the ante this year, and they did it.
Coach Woodley talked about it, how difficult it was, and how great a job that they did. There's no question, and I think going back to Coach Drinkall's team back at Kansas Wesleyan, I want to say, Jason, remind me, was it 17, 18, 19 that Kansas Wesleyan was making a deep run at the Final Four, I believe.
Yeah,
maybe a Morningside.
Final Four.
Yeah, my memory, but I know they made some deep runs, and that changed things, I think, for that KCAC, like you said. And now you're seeing, I'm turning out, Southwestern, Jason, was a good football team this year. Friends was a good football team this year. Kansas Wesleyan was a good football team this year. I totally agree with you. And you look at, you can go back to all the conferences that have had champions, and there's somebody that's going to be on the coattails and to say, hey, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to compete at a high level. I'm looking at Indiana Wesleyan right now. I'm looking at Marion right now. We had some great success. And before us, it was like, Findlay University and the Mid-States Football Association. We had our success, and Marion and Indiana Wesleyan. We're all battling for those, the top spot in our conference. And the West Side's always St. Xavier. Back then it was Grandview and St. Xavier battling back and forth, and Grandview moves over to the Heart. The Mid-South. You look at Georgetown. Then you have Lindsey Wilson with Coach Oliver taking that program over. And really, it was competitive with them in Georgetown for years and years. There had to be that commitment for that program to take the next step and compete nationally. And you can go back and look at history and see, oh yeah, okay, Yeah, Morningside and Sioux Falls played some really good games back in the day.
Yeah.
That really kind of set the tone for, a 3 national championship. It wasn't 4 years that Morningside won. You can trace that back to maybe 2009, 2008 of, raising the bar in your athletic department, your football program from an administrative standpoint, and obviously your players and staff. Look for Graceland, Jason. I'm going to go Graceland's my one this year that's going to really jump in 2025 because of Grand. I'm serious, Coach Ross.
No, I'm with you. Coach Ross knows what it needs to get done. Yeah.
You're going to see some teams in North America up the ante, Jason. I'll guarantee it.
I will absolutely agree with you on that for sure. Tim Burrow saying, yeah, you're not alone. When the trophy started in 2013 is how I learned where Osborne went to school. How many fans know Osborne is an NAIA alum or associate? Yeah, I think it's coming around. It's an education thing. And it's also a good talking point. It's like, why is this called the Dr. Tom Osborne Championship Trophy? So good one there. Another question from the chat. Does the Mid-States Football Association East need to work to add a good team in the wake of Concordia closing? If so, any ideas? Yeah, anybody that's in Ohio that left the NAIA should absolutely come back. I don't.
Walsh, come back. Finley, come back.
Ohio Dominican, come back. What are we doing?
They're all ordinary Division II schools. They're private liberal arts schools that are playing against state schools. We talked about this is probably more of an off-season topic, and it was an off-season topic last summer, if I remember.
We're technically off-season now.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. You hit the nail on the head, Jason. And I think Defiance is going to be is on the rise as well because of the recruiting base. You're talking about Ohio is a unbelievable high school football state, as good as anywhere north of the Ohio River. I mean, it's not even close. I think I grew up in the state of Pennsylvania, so it's kind of a touchy point. But I think the state of Ohio has unbelievable high school football, and all those NAIA schools that were great when they were NAIA schools, now Division II and private schools are just kind of ho-hum, kind of irrelevant at the national level. Finley, Tiffin. I mean, Tiffin's been in the playoffs, I guess. Tiffin, Walsh. All those schools, Jason. Ohio Dominican, like you mentioned. It'd be perfect, I think, but it's going to be tough to get the whole athletic department to leave Division II and come back to it. Just too hard.
Yep. It's tough. There's a lot of Division IIs, and even like I go to my part of the country, and I look at the Minot States and the University of Mary's of the world, and Jamestown making that jump, and I'm like, hey, more power to you, but you could compete for something at the NAIA level. You could be playing with like-minded institutions and all that. So I do want to address this one because I've seen this comment a couple times. Would love to see the NAIA being broadcast on national TV. While I get the appeal and the love to be like, hey, our game's on ESPN. Hey, our game's on whatever. I think given what we saw what the audience was yesterday, you can limit yourself by being on there. You're on ESPN2, ESPNU, or just playing on ESPN Plus for that championship game. There's 412,000 people that watched the NAIA championship yesterday. That's 500,000 people. 500,000 people watched the NAIA championship, and everybody had access to it. All you had to have was this. Everybody and their dog. You didn't have to have a subscription to ESPN. You didn't have to have ESPN Plus. You didn't have to be at somebody's place that had ESPN. You could just pull it up on your phone, and it was available to every single person in the world to watch yesterday. That's the first. If you think of it from that perspective, you didn't have to pay anything to watch the national championship yesterday. Yesterday was the first time the NAIA football championship has been available to everybody and their dog for free to watch. So getting it on a national network, I understand the appeal of that. I honestly don't think it's the right way to go for our network because so much of that broadcast TV stuff is starting to go away. Things are going to online streaming services, and trying to get anything on ESPN during bowl season, like you think a noon kickoff on Saturday is bad. If we're trying to get that game on ESPN, they're going to say, yeah, you're going to start it at 11 o'clock and we're going to play it on Monday morning. Oh, wait, we did that last year. Oh, and what network were we on again a year ago when we did? Oh, we were on ESPN a year ago when we had an 11 o'clock on Monday kickoff. So I don't know.
Do we have the numbers comparison? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I honestly, I was Googling earlier today. I was also trying to Google what the D2 stats were for the championship game that they had on ESPN2 yesterday. But I'll tell you, 412,000 people, like, yeah, sure, we'd love to have the big sex appeal that comes with we were on ESPN. Like, that's so cool. I don't know if it has it doesn't have the same bang that it did 10 years ago. Like, you wanted to be on ESPN 10 years ago. You wanted to be on, I mean, my thing is, I would be willing to jump through every hoop in the world if it could be on actual national broadcast TV, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. If you could get it on one of those, I would beat that drum, but that's not going to happen. So you're going to get on ESPN2, you're going to get on ESPN Plus, you're going to get on Fox Sports 2, which then becomes an issue for how the heck do we watch this game? So that's my thoughts. I'm sorry, I went off on a tirade there because that's my background. That's my media thing there.
Absolutely. You can put on the Ocho. So you got cornhole, you got like squirrel boat racing. What does they have on the Ocho? I always like that.
Yeah, the dodgeball. Obviously, there's always dodgeball on the Ocho. Yeah, cornhole.
Dodgeball.
Yeah, I believe they have. What's the thing from? I've never read or watched a Harry Potter movie.
No,
what's that? Quidditch. I think that's what it's called. Where they like ride the, I don't know.
I've never seen Star Wars either.
Yeah, I've watched the originals. I have not watched anything here recently.
Superhero stuff. No.
Well, and you know, Rebecca, I do appreciate you throwing the question out there too. By the way, took some people a little bit to get onto it. Yeah, totally understand. But people being able to watch it internationally on the app, I'll be completely honest. After the crash and burn of the NAIA Championship Series announcement that happened on that Sunday night when we were sitting here trying to get it to load, I did not have a lot of faith in how things were going to go Saturday. I thought the streaming and everything on Saturday went really well. And I was watching on my phone, screencasting it. Apparently I had better internet than you did, Pat.
I think it was
on a farm in Nebraska. Yeah.
I'm in Fort Wayne, which is not like a metropolitan area, but it's still like 350,000 people in this region.
Yeah.
And you had better internet connection than I did in rural Nebraska.
There was nobody else using the internet at that time. Like, we were feeding cattle. The neighbors were feeding cattle. Somebody else was, baling some stock. So we had the full internet feed to ourselves.
Yeah, I lost about half of it one of the drives. I'm like, did your internet go out? Oh, it's my internet. I looked at the signals.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're like, did the app go down? Did the stream go down? I'm like, nope.
No, that was me. And we texted back and forth. Yeah, but what a game yesterday! It was, man, fun to watch.
It was a heck of a lot of fun. I mean, I absolutely, Grace. I thought Drew Felios and Conley. What's his first name? God dang it, I just forgot it. Forrest Conley. Yeah, I thought they did a good job.
Really good. They've been doing it forever, man. It's like kind of their thing annually. So, if Dannelly and Donley can't do it, we'll let them do it.
We'll give it to Felios and Conley.
You guys can.
But if they ever don't do it and we don't get the phone call.
Like we would be seriously angry.
Yeah.
Because you have extensive play-by-play experience. And believe it or not, even though I've coached for 20 years, I have done a lot of color commentary. A lot.
Coaches make the best color commentators.
What's that?
Coaches make the best color commentators.
Yeah, absolutely.
I honestly,
radio and TV.
I will be honest. Like I've had the former player like do the color commentary. And it's like, dude, stop talking. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand. Like, we need to call the next play. We're not still talking about this. You got 8 seconds, buddy. Make a point.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is like coaches have like the proper sensibility of just let the play-by-play guy call the play. Guys interrupting all the time. That stuff drives me crazy. You see that a lot, I think, more. Well, you see with some old coaches, too, if they jump on. But, yeah, just the proper timing is a key thing with that. Not that I'm an expert, but I have done a little bit. And I think needs to make again, if Felios and Conley are out ever, time for Dannelly and Donley in the bullpen, ready to go. Let us know.
Yeah, we're here. I'm warming up. I got the.
I'm ready to roll. Let's go.
Get the microphone up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NAIA Football National Championship. No, something like that. I probably just screwed up my audio doing that. So.
And you can bring your corgi. I see Herb Street's got the new lab. Is it Peter? Those names them like real dog, real people names. Yeah.
So me bringing my corgi would be the opposite of like you got this lovable little golden retriever out there,
Yeah.
and I'd have my corgi Frankie with me, and she would just be looking around like I'm gonna kill everyone
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
just running and barking at people. Yeah, not good.
Off topic of NAI, real quick. I'm gonna bring this up.
Yeah.
We're laying overtime topics now.
Yeah.
I have never, ever been so excited for a weekend of football in my entire life.
Oh, it was tremendous this weekend. Yeah,
But how bad was it?
it was not
Wow.
good. It was not a good,
Like,
not a
dude,
good start.
I am so disappointed. Like, I have friends. I'm telling you, buddy. Like, I was really close. Like, I was the idiot looking at tickets for Notre Dame, Indiana. Yeah, I would love to have gone. But I was happy I stayed home and stayed warm. And that game nasty, ugly. And I've been a Notre Dame fan kind of my whole life. I mean, last name's Donley, for God's sakes. You almost have to do it.
Last name's Donley. Coached at a Catholic school. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. Fighting Irish. Come on. But like my wife's a huge Indiana fan. Like, so it was a whole thing, right? And I was so excited. And my dad coached against Coach Signetti's dad back in the old days in the PSAC. So Indiana PA. My dad was a coach at Cal PA. So I've technically been around Coach Signetti, as a kid. So there's some interest there. And what a dud that was. And then you kind of think, well, okay, SMU, man, what a great story, man. And I turned the game on, had the background, it had the iPad with the NAI game front and center. I'm like, oh, this is brutal.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, Dabo is going to get the old Clemson Tigers all riled up and getting down there and go play some Texas. That was brutal. Like, it got kind of interesting at the end a little bit. And then it's like, okay, Jason, the Tennessee-Ohio State game something's going to happen. This is going to be big. SEC versus, Big Ten. Ohio State is so stressed because they lost to Michigan. They're not real confident themselves. No, they were pissed. That was just an absolute drubbing. Just awful football all week. I was so disappointed. I've never been so disappointed in my entire life, ever.
Yeah. I honestly, it was really easy for me because we had family Christmas this weekend back in Nebraska. That's why I was back there watching the game, with the family. It was very easy for me after the NAI football game was over to just concentrate on being around family and talking to family.
There you go. They're terrible games. Terrible.
It's like, don't worry. Nah, I'm good. I saw my game that I needed to, and
Absolutely.
I got all the information. All right, so we should probably wrap things up. I mean, this hour, this is probably the fastest hour, it feels like, because we didn't go through a bunch of slides. We had Coach on for 20 minutes, 10 minutes longer than we said we'd have him on. Coach Woodley, just congratulations to them. I felt like, I really feel like we've talked about a lot of other things, in this broadcast, but I just want to emphasize, like, how awesome this is for Grandview, for those football players, that coaching staff, for that administration, to get this national championship. And if anything, it helps to raise the bar. It helps to raise the view of them nationally. But there's one thing I think Grandview still has to overcome as a small private liberal arts institution in the Des Moines metro is that, hey, we're legit college football over here. And if you're in the Des Moines area, if you're a fan of college football, you better start going seeing some Grandview football games because it's tremendous football that they're playing over there. And you got another institution right there in town. I'm going to be honest, they also play college football, and I'd much rather tell you to go spend your money watching Grandview play than,
the other one.
They
used to play
non-scholarship team.
Yeah,
there.
I wish they still would. Of course, I know why they don't because pummel them.
Yeah,
and they did.
Yeah.
So winning the national championship, Jason. Again, I'm fortunate to have some experience in this. There's nothing like it. It's one of those things. It's like you talk about having a college degree or doing some great accomplishment in your life that it can never take away from you. Well, guess what? You can always say, Coach Woodley, national championship head coach. He was an assistant as a head coach. The players, national champion. I can't tell you how many weddings I've been to where my former players, they talk about former or national champion player, and whatever the speech is, the best man speech, all those different things.
Yeah.
That's something that's always going to be brought up. People talk about Hall of Famers or national champions or Super Bowl champions. That's something that's a great tagline your entire life, that you're a national champion as a player or a coach. And there's nothing like it. And, every day I probably remember one of those moments every day of my life. I do, how special it was. And I get to win with my dad too, which is really cool. I know Coach Woodley did that, and him doing it on his own, I will never do because I'm out of it now, but I definitely am happy for him because he's one of those guys, Jason, I can tell you with a ton of experience, is one of the best defensive guys ever.
Yeah.
And so good. I mean, look at the defense. Again, I know Coach Peterson has the title of defensive coordinator, but Coach Woodley's definitely involved in that. And I went head to head with him many, many times, and he is as good as anyone's ever done it. And so happy for him to take the program over and to break through and win his national championship as a head coach. And Grandview did Grandview things, especially yesterday, through the whole season, then especially yesterday.
Yeah. The other thing I want to bring up, not to get too far in the weeds here, I think I can get the stat pretty quickly here. Okay. So if I say there was a head coach at the NAIA level that was 69-3 as a head coach, you probably know who that guy was, right? Kalen DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Woodley, 72-5.
No joke.
No joke, man.
6 years, right? Is it 6 years?
1, 2,
Seven,
3, 4, 5, 6. Year 6, yeah.
Wow.
6
So
years.
his first year was what year? I'm doing the quick math. Was that the season?
2019.
2019. Yeah.
So 13-1, 7-1, 14-1, 13-1, 11-1, 14-0.
Yeah, we played
good.
Grandview his dad's last game at Grandview.
2018, yeah.
We knocked him out in the playoffs. Yeah, that's the last time I played against Coach Woodley in Grandview. So, yeah, I'm so happy for him and so deserve it. And, coming close in 21, I'm telling you that there's a motivating factor there. And again, losing the semis and you can see it's like, we got to get better here. And I love that, that explanation he has. We got to get better up front. And I tell you what, man, did they ever in a 2-year period, 3-year period, so physical and did it the right way and won a national championship.
Yeah, some people saying thanks, for what we did for this season. You guys, we couldn't do it we would do it if nobody was watching. We said that, but trust me, it's a heck of a lot more fun to get to know some of the commenters every week. Sometimes we get the same ones, and it is fun week to week to be able to call each other out on that. So pretty awesome. One thing I did not really, I knew, and I didn't put back together. I'm pulling up the old Joe Woodley Wikipedia here. He was on staff at St. Ambrose in 04-05. So he was coaching for Coach Sturdy back then before he went on to, yeah. So I kind of had, I remembered that, but then I had forgot that. I was like, gosh dang, that's right. You've been around the NAI forever. So, all right, enough of the thing. Pat, anything as we wrap things up?
No, Merry Christmas. Have a great time with your little daughter. And she's still in that phase where toys are fun. I'm ready at my kid's age to get toys out. I need my man cave back, buddy.
Yeah.
I need it back. It's been taken over the last 10 years. So, yeah, enjoy that. It's nothing like it with little kids. And great work, man. You're the best. Thank you for bringing me along another year. And what a great season. Looking forward to the offseason, maybe getting some coaches interviews, kind of looking at, the NAI next year. Going to be some turnover, some changes. I'm sure the coaching, definitely the portal, all those different things. It's a lot of work, and you do a great job. And again, I can't thank you enough for bringing me along. I look forward to Sunday nights to do this show and get to spend some time with my buddy Jason.
Well, dude, just like Woodley said in the broadcast early on, I was smart to bring you on, and I honestly could have done a podcast the last 10 years myself. I didn't want to. I need somebody to bounce off. I need somebody that's smarter than me in some areas. I'm not saying you're completely smarter than me, but definitely when it comes to some of the analysis, you say some things and I'm like, yep, I got it. I got it now. I know what they're doing. I'm smart enough football wise to understand it, but sometimes it's like, hey, Dad, what were they doing there? And then you just go there, and I'm like, okay, now I get it. So, buddy, this is awesome. We'll do it some in the off season. I am ready for a break every Sunday night since the middle of August. I got a little one upstairs and the lady upstairs. I'm sure they would like to see me for a couple hours on Sunday night. So we'll take a little break. We'll come back and we'll let everybody know when we're here. But if not, hey, next year football season, we'll be right back here. So just same time, 7:00 Eastern, Sunday night, 6:00 Central. We'll be in here talking. If there's anybody here or not, we'll find that out, I guess. All right, Pat. Have a Merry Christmas to
too.
everybody out there. Want to leave you all with one final lasting image of the NAIA football season. For Pat Donley, I'm Jason Dannelly. This has been NAIA Football with Dannelly and Donley. Have a good one, everyone.